Politics Central.
So today, National are launching a billboard campaign, and it's called, quote, Demand the Debate. And Judith Collins says that as Kiwis, we are being left out of important policy discussions by the government, which she says they have not campaigned on. To explain more, Judith Collins joins us now. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys.
So, yes, it's just me today. Bevo's on the slopes in Queenstown.
Right.
So just
Good
the one
afternoon,
Tim. So as part of this, are you saying that the governments really can't do anything major like this unless they've campaigned on it? What are you saying?
Well, I'm saying that if you look, we're just a few months really out from, the last election, and the government basically from the start decided they were going to push through an agenda that they hadn't actually taken to the electorate. Now, it doesn't mean that governments can't change their position, but when you're talking about major constitutional issues, I think they do need to be able to allow people to have debates on it. And what we're seeing is that there's a whole lot of debate that gets shut down, either by name calling or by people being told, if you think like this or you say these things, then you're not supporting the victims of the Christchurch massacre. So those sorts of things. So what we're saying for a start is He Puapua is the billboard we're starting with today, and we're saying, let's just have a debate about this. And so we've got the demandthedebate.nz website that people can go into, and they'll see all the detail that's been made available on the He Puapua document and the policy proposals that are being discussed at the moment. And we're saying let's debate with all New Zealanders rather than only a few.
So you're starting off with He Puapua, but are you also getting to hate speech laws as well? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we've got a whole range of issues, obviously, and we're not going to run through all of them today just because we've got new billboards coming through on those as well. But there'll be issues like, for instance, the car tax, the ute tax, the fact that they said that there were no new taxes, and there are new taxes, the turnarounds, and basically the non-delivery of the things they promised and the delivery of things they didn't promise. In fact, they, in some cases, ruled out altogether.
Okay, if we look at He Puapua, it's not suggested anywhere that all of that is going to be implemented, but didn't Labour campaign on redressing the inequalities and inequities faced by Maori in terms of health and education and crime, etc.?
Well, it's a bit of a long bow, that one, to draw. What they did say is that they would fix child poverty. You might remember that one. It seems to have got worse in most cases. They'd house people in homelessness. It's all got worse. They did not say that they were going to move into a co-governance model when it came to government agencies or indeed things like, for instance, water in this country. And these are debates that people need to be part of, Tim. And it's not just my democracy. It's not just your democracy. It's not the government's democracy. It's our democracy as a country. And where I'm going around the country, and I'm around the country almost every day somewhere different, what I'm hearing is people feel if they say anything, they're accused of being racist or uncaring or in the past, and they simply want to have a say.
Has National been stoking that somewhat, though, in that when it comes to the hate speech debate, a lot of Kiwis are unaware that public feedback is actively being sought, and they're of the view that no, we don't want to know what you're thinking. But actually, if you read the discussion papers, it's actively being sought.
Well, not really, is it? I mean, they're actively being sought on what? Because in the Prime Minister's already said that the hate speech legislation would not shut down political debate, and yet the document that's been put out on the Ministry of Justice website does not actually make that clear whatsoever. And then we have the Minister of Justice, and the Prime Minister, when asked by media and in Parliament by myself, unable to clarify exactly what it is that they're proposing. So there's a general vibe about this, and that vibe seems to be that if someone's being hateful, then that should be criminalised. You're talking about 3 years in jail, Tim. And, on the one hand, the Prime Minister said, oh, well, that's just for, it's about inciting violence. Well, inciting violence is already a crime. It doesn't need new legislation on it. And I just think the Prime Minister and the government is not letting people debate the issues because they don't even know what it is that's fully being proposed. So we're saying, get out there, debate them. We're happy to put the information up for you.
Okay.
on, and that just really want to hear from you.
Do you think New Zealand needs more of a plan out of COVID-19 articulated? There are two opinion pieces by my colleagues suggesting that we need that plan. Is that also your view?
Well, I think it's really clear is that we need to look to something other than being shut down constantly. And I would have thought by now we would have had a better vaccination rollout. But look, hopefully we'll get ourselves vaccinated and we can look to life after lockdowns. But let's see what it is. Let's get the vaccinations done first, because as some international commentators are commenting, New Zealand has been very quick to lock itself down, and that saved a lot of people getting COVID, or certainly has been a major factor in it. But the problem is, as well, is we need a plan to be able to live once we have a significant number of the population vaccinated.
Isn't it just a reality that given the new Delta strain and the Lambda strain, that there is a little bit of wait and see as far as exactly what that plan is, as we see 77 new cases in New South Wales, as we see Fiji really in an absolute state of crisis?
Well, you've got both countries there that have not been stellar in their vaccination rollouts, but they have, in most cases, I'd say, New Zealand is definitely well behind the pack. We're either the last or the second to last in the developed world when it comes to vaccination rollout. So, I think it's just a matter of time until all those countries, certainly Fiji and Australia, really get more of those, more of their people vaccinated. But the big point is actually, we also, I think what we'll probably move to, and the scientists have been saying this to me, is we'll end up with different vaccinations each year, just like most people have the winter flu injection. They'll have whatever that the latest vaccination is for COVID. But we need a plan around that, and we need a plan about making sure we can travel with safety.
ACTA riding high in the polls at the moment. How big a problem is that for National?
No, not at all, actually. In fact, I think what's really important is that we work together on various issues. But I also think, too, is that, we're a significantly larger party than they are. And we have to, we are, we're used to being, and we're often are, the major party in the government. And we need to be able to go across all issues. So we're just really working well. And I just think we've obviously been through a tough couple of weeks, and I feel very good about where we are now.
I mean, it's really a tough couple of years. How much is National being torn in two opposing directions, the more conservative wing versus the more liberal wing, and having lost people like Nikki Kaye and Amy Adams, that those internal ructions as far as how you get back from polling in the mid-20s must surely be very much to the fore?
Oh, well, no, I don't feel like that at all, actually. I think we've dealt with some issues. I expect, and so the caucus does as well, expect discipline, expect us to be working well together, speaking well of each other, and getting on doing the job, representing the things that people think are really important, like, for instance, the hate speech legislation, the car tax, the fact that the government is soft on crime, and we've got a huge centralisation of local government. These are the sorts of things people care about.
Just get your response to something Matthew Hooton's written. So in his most recent column for The Herald, he's talking about Jacinda Ardern having once-in-a-generation communication skills, and that if she used those, she could bring about really brave policy that would benefit New Zealand. He says that she won't, though, and that such honesty might limit her to 3 terms instead of 4 or 5. Matthew Hooton's saying that she'll actually take a more cautious approach in order to win more elections, and he believes she could win 4 or 5 elections.
Oh, I think you'll find that she'll be off to the United Nations, won't she? And I wouldn't take too much notice of what's being written by Matthew on this. I think he has a great sense of humour.
All right. Thank you very much. That's National Party leader Judith Collins. Enjoy your Sunday. Okay, time now is 17 minutes past 3, and we're going to get Peter Dunn's take on the conversation that I've just had with Judith Collins. And then we'll also do some talk back. And a little bit later on, and I'll tell you when to ring, but it will be along the lines of whether or not right now we have to have some sort of articulated plan about a life post-COVID or a life living more with COVID with greater freedoms, or whether or not we can just press pause on things for a bit. Peter Dunn will be with us after the break, so we'll take a short break. You can text anytime you like on 9292. It's News Talk ZB, Politics Central at 3:18.